In this session, I'll be teaching you guys how to like create 3D assets at the end of the session. Yeah. So what I'm hoping to cover in this is translate basic ideas into 3D concepts, optimize assets for AR platform, blend creativity with technical execution, and think like a digital builder. Okay, so the images by this side are some images I've actually like are some 3D images I've worked on, and these are some brands we've worked on actually from Pikd. So let me just give a little intro at what we do with about what we do at Pikd. So Pikd is like an AR platform that actually like markets branded items. So they kind of like drop it in your location, and you just have to like download the app. Maybe join a community on the app. Then you have to like scan your area, and if you are lucky enough, you see one of the item, and you can collect the item, and you get whatever item you collect actually. So we are kind of doing one currently with EWA, and that's like dropping digital items around the area in Eco Hotel. So if you get to our booth there, you can like download the app, and you can scan the area actually. Like a lot of people played the game yesterday, and it was like very interesting and fun. Okay, so these are some brands I've worked with. Sorry, we've worked with, like I said, and some images I've created in the past. Um, okay, so the theme of this session, which is closing the gap. So the big question is what stop great ideas from becoming a great experience. When I started out as a designer, what I wanted was something that felt, something that had volume. I started out with basic tools like Photoshop, but I wanted something with volume, something that felt like it is rigid actually, not just something flat, because you can just do little with Photoshop. So I decided to explore actually, and I found out 3D, and that was like my journey of 3D. So it wasn't easy learning 3D and all, because it was like new, and the whole thing was just different. Okay, so now many creative have powerful visions. Like as a creative, yeah, I what I understand is most times you always have this idea that pop into your head, and you want to work on them. So sometimes you're always limited by, okay, you don't know where to go, like you don't even know how to start. Sometimes you don't know how to even go about it, and that's like a major issue. And translating those vision into digital interactive formats is hard. So AR is kind of like becoming a really big thing. Like in fact, it's a big thing currently, like in a lot of places, and we are trying to bring that to the Nigeria. But um, for people who are starting out as a new what do I want to call it, a new career in AR, it might be difficult actually, because you don't know what to do. You don't even know how to like maybe create the platform, and also the technology that allows you to work with AR. So the last thing is tools can feel overwhelming and the process unclear. So I'm actually going to be showing us how to actually create like the assets that we dropped around this area. Sorry, the one in Eco Hotel. So the thing is, if you don't have an idea of this thing before, it can feel very overwhelming, especially when you see the software interface that you'll be using. But I'll try as much as possible to break it down and simplify it. And if you're with your laptop, I'll be happy for you to like join me and download the software I'll be using. And trust me, it's very simple actually. All right, so next slide. Okay, starts with emotion. Okay, so this is just like the very basic start of me trying to create something. So you choose an abstract theme if you want something futuristic, or maybe you want to belong, like what we are trying to do here. We want like Gen Zs to kind of feel among in a process of marketing for Pikd. So our target is majorly Gen Z, and we know everybody's with their phone nowadays. So the idea is just like, why not just make people get stuff around them and make it kind of fun. So rather than just scrolling through your phone all day, you can also go around your area and just check for items that some companies might have dropped, and you can now pick up this item and win them. Most times on discount, and some very free. Like the ones we drop in Eco Hotel is actually like all free. You just have to like see the items, climb the leaderboard, and you get the items for free. So if you've chosen a theme you want to work with already, you can build a mood board to visualize your emotion. Now, speaking about emotion, it is actually like you deciding why you actually want to like do the creative idea, or the whatever you think you want to work on here. That's what emotion is about. And you use AI tools to spark this idea. Now, AI is actually everywhere. How many of us use any AI at all here? Okay, that's good actually, because I also use AI in my process actually. I mean, it's make works very easy, and I'll also show you how to like create AR items with AI. and also how to make them better. Okay, so mood board is actually this kind of board. Wait, how many of us know what a mood board is? Okay, some people know. Okay, so mood board is just like something you know put down your ideas that you've gotten from somewhere. So for me now, if I'm scrolling through Instagram as a creative, I actually see some ideas from like companies that I think I want to replicate. So what I do is I just like take the screenshot and just put it somewhere. Sometimes you could have your mood board neatly organized like this, and sometimes you could just have it like in your gallery folder or whatever. So it is up to what you want, but you could have a lot of ideas. So let's say you are going to something about belonging, like you want to belong into something. You have something that feels like some people that looks as if they are doing a kind of dance. You have this funny looking flower hair, and a lot of stuff there. So these are ideas you can use to come up with something for yourself. Do you understand that? Sorry, are we together? All right, thank you. Okay, sourcing ideas and prompting with AI. Okay, so this next part is actually like where you are actually starting to get a picture of what you are trying to do. Um, okay, so what you want to do first is you want to find ideas that fit into what you're trying to create. That could be part of your story, your mood boarding rather, and also it could also be you just trying to look for things that somebody has done before, because a lot of creative have done a lot like currently. So if you've seen something that you're trying to create, you could just have it like an idea that you want to work with, and if it is not working for you, you could actually just go to AI and just enter your idea, and it is going to really help you to like refine it, and also something that you will get like a clearer picture of. So first, the AI tool I like to run to the most is Copilot, Microsoft AI tool. So you want to input a prompt, and the AI tool can help you to generate an image, and also you can use it as a creative springboard. So it kind of just helps you to like create something that you understand and get a clearer picture of. So this image here now is actually like AI turning this image to a 3D object. So it is just going from like a basic image concept to a 3D object. This 3D object is like riggable, and it can be animated to like maybe a short movie or whatever you want. But I won't be doing animation. It's just I'll just be doing a basic modeling actually, just so that won't take so much of our time. Sorry, do you understand this section currently? All right, thank you. Okay, so modeling with Blender 3D. Now, for you to actually like create this immersive experience you want, you actually kind of need some software. And my favorite to use is actually Blender 3D, which is a free 3D software that you can use to create 3D object or 3D animations or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I mentioned before that we actually have some drops that we placed in what's it called, in Eco Hotel, and if you have your phone with you, you can scan the area and you find items like this in the area. It could literally be beside you, but you won't know actually unless you like use your phone to like scan the area, right? So I'll show you how to create this very item, and I think that will, yeah, I'll show you how to create this. So okay, so you can use Blender 3D to build or refine your 3D assets. You can focus on clean topology and low poly design. Consider silhouette texture and spatial presence. Okay, so all this is actually like things you need to consider when you're like creating stuff for AR. So you don't want it to and for sorry, excuse me, sorry, because you are creating for mobile devices, you don't want your 3D objects to be very heavy. It can be very like if you are starting out with 3D, you might be focused on creating like very clean 3D objects, and a lot of vertices and faces could go into creating that, and it could end up making your model very huge and large. So currently, the way I work, the models I create, they are usually below 5 MB, and that's because that's what our technology requires. So generally, it just makes the app easier to use and also very light to use. So I know I've mentioned something that you might not understand, but when we start using the software, I'm going to like explain everything in details. Now the next on this slide is optimizing for AR. Okay, so optimizing for AR is actually like you taking your 3D model and making sure it is not too heavy for whatever platform you're working with. Um, so first you have to reduce the poly count, you have to bake the textures, export in GLP format, and you have to preview it so that you don't make any error. So reducing the poly count is actually like reducing the amount of vertices on your 3D model, like all these lines around it and the faces. You have to bake the textures. Baking texture is actually like making texture stay on your 3D model. Sorry, let me go back up. So this texture on this theory on this model is quite baked on it, so that you are able to like view it in like AR. Because if it is not baked onto the 3D model, you probably won't see the texture when you export it to the AR environment. Um, okay, and export in GLB format. So for you to get your 3D model, you actually have to export it out of Blender, which is the 3D software you're using, and you want to export it to something somebody can import into an AR environment, which the format is GLB. Do you guys understand what I'm saying so far? Are you sure? Do you have any questions or maybe anything? All right. And also, lastly, previewing in GLB Viewer. So this is just you checking if your AR item is going to look well in your AR environment, because it's important you do that. If you don't, most likely you are going to have to retrace the process and also create it all over again. I've been speaking about, as a creative, or maybe as somebody that is aspiring to be a creative, especially in the AR sector. If you're trying to create an AR object, which is like, let's say, 3D object, so your first process is actually like, knowing what you want to create, and also trying to like get a good idea of what you want to create. Now, a tool you need to use for AR, like in creating 3D objects that you export to your AR objects, is actually like Blender 3D. Blender 3D is a 3D software that is like free to use. Like you can use it to do a lot of things, from video editing to animation to 3D modeling and rigging. Um, yeah. Okay, let me say, to create cartoons. Do we do we relate to that more? I mean, is you guys are actually looking as if I'm, speaking on that language, and I'm trying to make us, flow together here. So if you don't understand anything I'm saying, please, you can just raise up your hand and I'll go back to it. All right. So first of all, you want to build and refine your 3D assets. So this stuff you're seeing here, this thing is a 3D asset. Actually, it is. It is not. Wait, how many of us know what Photoshop is here? Please, let me just go from there. Oh, good. Thank God we know Photoshop. Wait, do you know Photoshop can actually do 3D designs too? How many of us know Photoshop can do that? Oh, okay. So it's not everybody's not like new to 3D. All right. So Blender is actually like just focused on 3D. And sorry if like the terminologies are sounding a bit like I don't know, kitchen things like blender and baking. We actually have our terms also, so you understand. All right, so you want to build and refine your 3D assets. So building a 3D asset is just like starting with 3D from scratch and making it look like what you want. So these assets did not just look this way. I had to like extrude and create some stuff on these assets, and you have to focus on clean topology and low poly design. So this one is actually you making sure that your 3D assets looks clean, like the face vertices and edges look clean enough for you to export out of the software for AR. Because sometimes if you have a bad topology and low poly design, it is going to mess up your export when you're trying to export it to the AR environment. And consider silhouette, texture, and spatial presence. Okay, this one actually, when you are trying to, create your 3D model, if you are, say, let's say you are trying to like get a cinematic view for it, you want to consider first the silhouette, how it looks like from afar, or maybe when there is no light. And also the texture, you want the texture to look as clean as possible, so that when your viewers see it, I mean, it looks appealing to the face. And spatial presence, actually, the way it looks when you export it into your AR environment, you want it to actually look good. And that's where the next slide comes in, which is actually reducing poly count for a start. So reducing poly count is actually a way to make your 3D objects, sorry, let me go back to that. Is actually a way to refine your 3D assets, and also a way to focus on clean topology and low poly design. That's like reducing your poly count. Baking texture is actually like the texture you've created on your 3D objects. Like this color you are seeing here, this one here, is actually like you making sure it actually like stays on the object if you are exporting out of this 3D software, right? Then exporting in GLB format is actually like a way to export your 3D assets. So just think of it like you're exporting an image from like Photoshop, but this one now in 3D. So this is like a format. And previewing in GLB is actually you just using a GLB viewer just to be sure that your 3D assets is going to look good in the AR environment. So once you have all this process, I think you have like a good AR file to work with. So do we understand to this point? Sorry, I wish you can we like talk? Ah, thank you very much. Okay, so yeah. We are here back again. Do we have any questions so far? Any question? Anybody, please? All right, please. Thank you. Sorry, please. Can you?
Okay. When you started, you mentioned that we can use an AI tool to create like a mock-up that we need to refine. So how do we do that? Because AI, do they give you in the formats that you can directly import into Blender, or what do you have to do?
Okay. Yeah. So currently there are like a lot of AI tools that can generate 3D models. So let's say you've actually gone to your AI tool. Let's assume Copilot because I like using Copilot a lot. Let's say you told Copilot that you're trying to create let's say okay, so the I'm coming to excuse me. All right. Okay. So the theme I choose first for a start is belonging. So let's just assume we want to create like this dress this girl is wearing, right? Let's say you, as a fashion designer, you want to like visualize your fashion clothes, but in AR world. So let's just assume the clothes this girl is creating. I don't exactly know what this gown is, but let's assume you just tell AI that okay, I need to create a gown, right? That has this kind of green and white texture. AI is going to create that for you, right? Maybe not exactly like this, but you could take this image inside AI and you tell it that okay, I need this gown. So it is going to create a gown for you, and what you can do with that gown is you can take the gown to another AI tool, and it creates it as a 3D model. So the 3D model I am sorry, the 3D AI tool I use the most is Tripod AI. So Tripod AI like creates 3D models for you from like an image or a prompt. So that's how you can use AI to do that. So once you take it inside AI, it generates it and it makes it look good. And what you just want to do is you export it from the tool, then you import it to Blender to refine it. So from there, you can actually export the cloth now as a GLB file, which you can put in your AI environment. So for example, maybe I'll actually work with that dress. Maybe we'll use it with the AI tool, then we import it to Blender. So I'll show you the whole process. Do you get? But does that answer your question? All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Does anybody have any other question, please? Okay. Moving forward. All right. So visual polish. So visual polish now is you making your 3D scene looks good. So let's assume you've created your 3D object now. This was one image we created for Red Bull. Actually, this is a 3D model. Everything here is actually like 3D. The watermelon, the leaf, the Red Bull can, and the water, everything is 3D. So let's assume you were asked to create like a drink kind of image. Um, you could actually just create the drink, right? You could create the drink like the can bottle and just stop at that. You've created it. But another thing you need to do is you kind of need to make delicious. You need to make it look delicious. Actually, sorry about that. Okay, so the idea here is actually like to make the Red Bull look like is getting into a splash of water, then the watermelon around giving it the flavor, and the leaf around showing it is healthy. So these are actually like visual polish that you can do to your 3D objects. So first off is refine textures and lighting in Photoshop, mockup and AR interface in Adobe XD, show how the assets fit into the digital experience. Now, when you are refining your texture, so the texture of this scan actually I had to like create it in another software which is Photoshop. So it has to look good on the can. Then the mockup AR interface in Adobe XD. So this one is actually like maybe I want to use this as a mock-up maybe later, maybe in a UI setting or maybe in an app. I could, do this like just the way it's going. Okay, so let's say I want to make it look like what it's going to look like in the AR environment. I can use Adobe XD for that and show how the assets fit into the digital experience. So there is actually I've forgotten the name. I think something XR, but you can use it as a VR prototype. Something like you can use it to view how your objects will look like in the VR environment. Sorry, in the AR environment. It works for like both AR and VR. Do you get? So that's what visual polish is all about. So you're just trying to make sure that whatever you're creating looks appealing enough to whoever is seeing it. So you can like export it the way it is like this into your AR world, and whoever is interacting with it sees it this way. Do you understand? Do you understand? Sorry. All right, thank you. Now, motion and emotions. Okay, so this pumpkin is actually one animation I did at some point for Halloween, and is actually just motion and emotion is actually just a way to add extra. details to your 3D object. So let's say you are trying to create this kind of pumpkin. You can think of many animations to do with this pumpkin. You can do like a bunny hop. You can do like a squish animation. You can do like an animation of it, stretching from somewhere else, and you can do an animation of it rolling in. So it is actually like a lot of things that you can do with this here. So you can animate overlays or transition. You can use rhythm and timing to guide emotion. Yeah, you can create a flow and anticipation. So what we did is for the Halloween, we created the pumpkin rolling into the scene, then sitting on the floor. So once you see it rolling in, you don't exactly know what it is, but when it lands and you see the cute face, well, I mean, it kind of sparks this kind of emotion within you. So it's actually a way to actually make your viewers interact more with whatever you're creating. There was a time we created a grimace, and I was going to make the grimace kind of wave it, and when you see it in the 3D world, like the AR world rather. So imagine you take your phone out and you're scanning the area, then you see a grimace waving. Do you know what a grimace is? Sorry. Oh, let me just show you that, please. All right, so this is a grimace up here. This was created for McDonald's. So this kind of image, imagine it's waving at you when you like carry your phone out and that kind of thing. So it's actually like more way to actually make your work, how will I put it, how to make it more interactive actually. So when you see the animation, you tend to more to want to interact more with it than just a static image. But it's not everything you need to animate, but some actually like this pumpkin it's okay for you to animate it. So that's what motion and emotion is for. It's actually just creating your assets in a way that your users actually interact more with whatever you're trying to create. So let's say it's like a drink can, or maybe it is just a coin. It could just rotate in space, so your users know that it is something in the AR world. Okay, so yeah, actually, I'm going to open up Blender now and I'll start creating something. So just give me some seconds, please. Oh boy, sorry about that. I'm sorry, just give me some seconds. Yeah. All right. So this is Blender 3D and this is the interface, and this is like a 3D scene. So how many of us are familiar with something like this, please? All right, cool. Okay, so this is actually like where you can create all this stuff, and let's see. Okay, so I said we are going to create the 3D asset to drops. This very one. Let me just go back to it. Sorry. So we are going to create this. I'm going to like walk through the process of creating this. So let's just get back to it. So this is Blender 3D, and you can create 3D objects inside it. Okay, so first things first. I want to actually create a basic shape, that I can build on rather to create the 3D coin. So firstly, just to get an idea of what I'm trying to create, when I was trying to create the coin, what I did was I went to Google and I just checked for 3D coin actually. So let's just do that 3D. Oh, sorry about that. Coin. So you see a number of coin that you can actually like go with. These are like a lot of ideas that you can actually use to create a 3D coin. All right. So let's just get back to this. So we know already that what a coin looks like, so we can actually just build on that. So I'll just hide this environment. Okay, so let me just introduce you to the interface of Blender. So this section here that you see is actually like section you can use to interact with the objects in the scene. Let me create a quick object. Let me add, let me just add a cube. All right. So this cube, from this cube you can create a lot of things. So from this section you can interact with this cube. Say you want to like add colors to the cube, or you want the cube to have some sort of physics or anything, you can actually do that in this section. So this section is actually where you see the list of what you've created in your scene. Maybe your cube, maybe your coin, or whatever character or whatever it is you're trying to create. You see everything in this section. Now, this section is kind of like the tools you use to interact with your object. So say you want to like move it either in the y-axis or the x-axis and the z-axis. So that's what makes it 3D, right? So the green axis is actually the y-axis, the red is the is the x-axis, and the z is the blue rather is the z-axis. So these are just like 3D axis, just for a 3D world. Okay, so what I'm trying to create is a coin. So a cube is not fitting into the description of what a coin looks like. So I'll just delete it, and I'm going to use a shape that looks more like what I'm trying to create. Oh, sorry about this. All right. So I'll be adding a circle rather. I think that should work more. So this is like a basic shape of something that looks like what a coin is. So from here, I'm going to be scaling this cylinder. Okay, sorry, the circle. I don't know. I keep calling it cylinder. Now there is something called. I'm really sorry if I'm not explaining this well. Are we following, please? All right. Okay. It's kind of hard teaching this thing like from start. Um, so what I want to do is I want to actually like make this look like the coin we had before on the screen. So yeah. So let me just go to the edit mode. So there's something called edit mode. Now I was talking about vertices. Sorry, give me a second. I was talking about vertices, faces, and edges. So these dots you see, these dots, they are vertices. This whole face that you can see is actually a face. I mean, I just called it a face. And the edges are these lines that you can see here. So the edges are like, line between vertices. So from here to here is a vertex. This is a vertex, this is a vertex. So the line between those two vertices is an edge. And the, should I call it, the space in between, vertices and edges is the face. So if you have a lot of vertices and edges, it could be just four vertices, it could make up a square. That's actually a face, and you can have edges around it. So from here, I also said something about extruding. So extruding is like, pushing out a part of whatever shape you are working on. So from here, I'm just going to extrude. There are tools you can use to extrude here. So like I said, you can use the tools here to interact with what's on your inside your viewport. So this big space where the circle is actually called a viewport. So I'll just use the extrude tool here. Just click on it. Then you want to extrude this up a little bit. So now you have your shape looking like a coin. It's not yet refined, but I mean it is almost looking like a coin now. Sorry for those that want to follow along. I'm sorry I forgot to like put you on. So if you want to follow along, like, are you able to download the software and maybe just follow along? All right. So I showed you how to extrude just now. Yeah. So something like this, like it is already inside this way. So this is like what it looks like currently. So you now need to do it for the other side, because I mean there are like two sides to a coin. So you have to like rotate the 3D object to the other side so you can see what's behind and actually do the same thing for them. But I mean we can get lazy sometimes and we don't want to do all that. So there are like tools inside Blender that you can use to mirror different part of your 3D design, like from one side to the other side. So instead of creating the other side to look this way, I'm going to just use the tools. So I'll just come over here where it says modifier. First of all, I'm going to create a loop cut. A loop cut is actually like a line or a edge running through a bunch of face. So let me just do Control R. Sorry. Yeah, okay. So Control R. So this is like a loop cut. So I can just click to create this loop cut and click again to activate the loop cut. And let me just view from this place. Sorry. So I just want to like cut this off the faces. Oh boy. Okay, so what I just did was I tried to, let me just go back. I didn't see anything on there. I tried to remove this other part. Why is it really difficult? Okay. So what you can also do in the viewport is also rotate your what's it called? Your objects. I didn't mention this before, but you can like rotate your objects in like different axes. In the y-axis, um, z-axis, and the x-axis. You can rotate your object how you want. So what I just did was rotate the object, so I'm able to show this other side clearly, and now I want to cut it. Let me just make it look this way. All right. So um now I added a loop cut, and that's with Control R. So I want to delete these faces. So I'm just going to select this face, and I'm going to press X on my keyboard. And you just delete face, like you just select face to delete the face. Then you want to select all of these other parts and also delete it off. So that's how like I got rid of that. So next thing I want to do is I want to mirror this place the way it is to the other side. So it kind of looks like this other part. Do you understand? So I just come to the modifier and I generate the mirror modifier. So if you check, it is not showing yet. So you just want to try it on every side. So it works on the Z axis. So you just want to remove this. So it is not touching each other. I mean, we need it to like touch each other. So we just select all. Like you use A on your keyboard to select all. Then you can just drag it. So it is kind of mirroring, on both sides. So if I should drag it to this point and I turn it around, you can see it's already almost looking like a coin or what we are trying to create. So you can just stop at this. I mean, it's looking clean already, and you can just see you've created your coin, but you can go extra by adding more details and making it smoother. So what I'll be doing with this is I'm going to add another modifier called the subdivision surface modifier, and that's used to like make sharp edge smooth. It kind of makes it relaxed and smooth. So I just go to the modifier and generate the subdivision surface modifier. So I don't know if you notice any change, but it is not as hard as it was before. Like it is no longer very sharp at the edge. It is now relaxed. So since we've mirrored the first coin, like sorry, the first side of the coin to the other side, whatever changes we make to this part that has the face and edges, it affects the other side also. So we don't have to like model on on the both side. Do you understand? So this whole process I'm doing is kind of it's called modeling actually. So we're trying to model a 3D coin currently. So after what I'll do is I'm just going to add some edges just because a coin actually like have sharp side, but maybe not totally sharp. But I just add some loop cut actually to make it look that way. All right. So again, the way you add loop cuts to a shape is Control R. So I just add for this part. Then I go ahead to add another one again for this part, and for the edge behind here, I had a loop cut for this part. So lastly, what I want to do is I want to insert this face. Let me just hide the subdivision surface modifier. So this face, I want to insert it so that we have like a little bit of sharp edge around this point. So we don't want all this way. So I'll just press I, and I kind of insert it so it looks this way. So now when I leave the edit mode and I go to object mode, we have the coin looking like this. It looks smoother actually compared to what we had before. This was what we had before. This was how the coin looked, and this is how it looks now. So we've created like the basic look of the coin actually. So yeah, so we are actually like we could be okay with this. This is what the coin looks like basically. Um, one more thing I want to do is for the coin, I want to add clipping to it so that so this clipping on the mirror so that when I like drag the coin out, it doesn't leave each other like before when I created the other side. If you should drag it, it kind of leaves each other. Do you get? Sorry, are we following? Are we sure? Do we have any questions before I continue? Anybody? Okay. I'm really sorry. I don't know if I'm doing this best way. Okay, so before we added clipping, it kind of moves in and out, and it leaves each other. But the moment we click on clipping and we drag it in, sorry, select A to select all. Okay, so if we add clipping, it kind of makes it, join together. Now, if you notice, if I should move it, it is not joining, and that's because I still have my hand on the mouse. So the moment I take my hand off the mouse and I drag, it is actually like sticking together. Now we have like a coin. So we have our basic look of the coin here. Let me just add a shade smooth to this, so it is actually like smooth. So what shade smooth does is it kind of removes some of this kind of rough looking part of the coin, something like this rough look. So you just add a shade smooth like so, and you have it looking this way, so it is like smoother. Okay, so the before and after of our coin before adding, this stuff. So we had the coin looking like this before. Sorry, we had this looking this way, and also we had like just one side to it before we added the mirror. So we added the mirror for it to look like the two sides of a coin, and also we added the subdivision surface modifier, so it is like smooth. And finally, we added the shade smooth, so it is smooth. So from here, I think I'm actually like okay with this. Sorry, I'm okay with this. And what we can do next is we can actually like add some materials on it. Actually, not texture, not materials. Actually. Okay, so I just want to come to this section that I talked about before, where you have tools that you can use to interact with the object like from here. So I just click create, and I have a new material actually. So what I want to do is add a color to it. So we had a color blue before on the coin we are trying to create. So the color blue, this is it. So it is not showing actually, because in 3D on like apps like Photoshop, you actually have to like preview in a render mode. So the process of like exporting your 3D as a picture is called render in 3D. So rather than you just seeing all the changes you do, you have to like click on the rendered mode, which is this, to actually see the changes you are making. So this is the cube currently, and it is looking what I want to say, it is looking blue without light. That's because there is no light in the scene. So in 3D, it kind of simulates like a real world. So let's assume this place is like without any light and the doors are closed. We literally won't be seeing each other. It's just all going to be dark. So the slightest light is going to brighten up the environment. So that's what we are going to try to do now. So you can click on add, then add a light. It's as simple as that. Just add a light, a point light is fine. And now you can see the light shining on the coin, something like this. So what you can do is you can increase the power of the light. Let me just increase it to say like 500. So you can see the difference. Like the light makes a lot of difference to this. And yeah, so this is what our coin currently looks like. And it is not exactly looking like a coin now, because it is losing some details. Like it's not shiny like a coin will be shiny, and it's not looking like a metal. We can fix that actually by making it look like a metal. I mean, you can see the options here, metallic. You could just drag this up and you have it looking this way like a metal already. Then reduce the roughness for it to, look a little bit shiny. So now you have something looking like a coin. Now the next thing is, for an object to actually act like it's in a real world, you need um a light from other source, like something like you need light to bounce off different surfaces. Something like this place now, it is just this light you have as the main light source. So you need like other surfaces. So the way I work is I kind of create an environment I work with before creating an object, which is this environment that is here. So let me just uncheck it. So you see it's kind of like add more light to the scene. So this is what the coin looks like with all the light around. It is looking more shiny and more like a coin. So the light I created. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of this. But this is what the coin is looking like. I'm coming, sorry. Okay. Alright. So this is what the coin is looking like. So now the next thing is actually to add the text that were on it. So there is the EWA Entertainment Africa on it. That's around it, going around it. Now, creating text on like a shape in 3D might be a little bit difficult. So you can use other apps actually to work on that. Then you import it inside your 3D software. So Blender is actually like a software that you can import SVG files into. So I'm going to create the text in a software Illustrator. Then I'll import it into Blender as an SVG file. So I'll put it around this. Yeah. All right. So okay, going on over this again. So after you've created this like and you've inserted it, right? You can just extrude again, but to the opposite side, so it goes inside the shape and not outside the shape. So something like this. So you just insert it. Then let me go back to edit mode. I want to move this up a little bit, up. And I want to rotate the coin so I can see it on the two side. So to rotate, you can use the gizmo to rotate something like this. Just rotate it with this and try to find the perfect angle 90, or you could just use shortcut on your keyboard. So the good thing about Blender is you can use shortcut for almost everything. So you can press R on your keyboard, then 90 after. So it gives you a perfect 90 degree. So now it is actually like facing the wrong way. I want this face to be by the other side, so I'll just like go back with Ctrl Z. And, I select R on my keyboard and use -90 this time. Okay.
How do we ensure that all the vertices are selected?
You can use A on your keyboard
Okay.
or A to select all.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Or you can select a face. If you want to select a face, you just have to like come up here and select the face. Then you can select a face, like just one face. Do you get? Okay, so from here, I'm just going to delete this face like before, like I did before, and I'm going to add the mirror modifier, something like so, and I kind of want to add clipping so that the object doesn't leave each other. So something like this. Then I'll go back to edit mode, and from here I'll add the subdivision surface modifier, and I'm going to add some loop cut actually to make it look neater. All right. Okay, so we are kind of back where we were before with the coin. Um, okay. So I just want to add a material again, a color blue material. Then I'll go to rendered mode to preview it, and I can't see the color, so I'll just turn back my environment on, and I'll add some metallicness to the object and reduce how rough it is. Okay, maybe I'll add smooth also to it. So this was where we were actually. So from here, I'm going to try to export this as GLB because I'm actually like trying to run now. So we're able to like use the AI and see how the AI works with creating 3D and also refining it. So um let me just see if I can. Okay. So from here I want to sorry, give me some seconds. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm trying to create the text around the coin. I don't know if you remember how the coin was looking, but there's this text around it. And there is this image in the middle. So you can achieve all this by modeling, but I'm not going to be modeling that shape because it's going to take a lot of time. Okay, so I'll just create a new Illustrator file. Um, oh, shit. Let's create this again. Sorry, excuse me. All right. So what I want to do is I want to create a text on a part. How many of us are familiar with Illustrator? Anybody? All right, we have somebody there. Okay. So I just want to like create like a perfect circle and yeah. Okay, so what the tool we need is actually like type on the part tool. So these are actually like processes, achieving a 3D objects. Like I mean, you can actually move from one 3D software like to a lot of 3D software. So I'm just going to write some words in it. AW. From here, we are going to import the file into Blender. All right. So this is what it is currently looking like. Please, are we kind of following? Are we? All right. Do we have any questions so far? Anybody? No have question. Okay. Um. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to export this as a GLB file. So to export this as a GLB file, I need to like bake the texture, like bake the materials rather on the model, so we can export it as a GLB file. Sorry, let's open it back. Now, what we are going to do to export, first of all, I want to convert this text to mesh, like to 3D objects. So when you create a text in 3D, you kind of have to convert it to mesh to make it work like a 3D object. So if you notice from the slide, I said something about creating clean topology. Focus on clean topology and low poly design. So this text is actually having like a really messed up topology. Like it is supposed to be clean and maybe all chords. Chord is actually like having just clean shapes and clean faces and edges. So there are actually tools that provide this kind of functionality for you in Blender. The inbuilt tool is the remesh tool that you can use. You can use a remesh to do this, and when you just try to reduce this to make it look like what you want, then apply you can just apply and check what it looks like. So this topology is looking like cleaner than what we had before. This is one way to do it. Or you can use tool like chord remesh, which actually makes it like way easier to actually do stuff like this. So anyone you want is actually up to your workflow. So I'll use chord remesh for this other one and just oh, I need to convert it to a mesh first and just remesh it. So this is another look of what the mesh look like. So this is like process of making the mesh look cleaner compared to what it looked like before. I don't know if you saw. Did you see what the text looked like before after I converted it to mesh? All right. So this is just making it look cleaner. So this way we kind of have the text as a mesh. Sorry, we have it as a mesh, and we can just work with that. So let me just. I'll just smooth them out actually because I don't want them to look rough. Just leave it this way, and so you can actually like join multiple objects together, like join the text. I'm sorry, this text is no longer a text actually, but I'll just call it text. You join this text with the what's it called with the coin, just to make it one object. That's what I want to do now. So you just shift select everything, then you press Ctrl J on your keyboard to join together. All right. So oh sorry. Okay, so before I join together, I'm going to apply these modifiers to this coin. So we don't have to like, get these modifiers on the other mesh. So the thing is, this mesh is I've used the remesh modifier for this one. I've applied it. I didn't use any modifier for this one, so there is nothing to apply. But this coin, there is the subdivision surface modifier and the mirror modifier. So what I want to do is I'll just apply it, because if I don't apply it, whatever modifier is on this what's it called on the coin is going to get applied to this to text, which I don't want to happen. So I'm just going to apply this, then I'm going to join everything after applying. So if I should go to edit mode, now we have everything like looking this way. So I can further make this look clean by deleting these vertices in between the what's it called? In between the circle, just not to have this funny looking thing around here. So let me just delete this. Sorry, give me some seconds. Just delete the vertices. And I'll delete these other vertices. Okay, so what I want to do next is I want to clean this up by making this look like a circle. So there's actually a tool for that called loop tool in Blender. So I just want to use the loop tool and turn this to a circle and do it for the other part and make this also into a circle. So from here I can just reconnect the faces like before. And instead of it looking like having plenty meshes going in the center, you can just leave it this way. So I want to connect this also, and it looks this way. So furthermore, I can actually like reduce these edges because they are too much. A lot of them are really not relevant. Like you have a flat kind of surface here, so you can remove like this. You can just dissolve edges. So it's going to remove. You can remove this. You can dissolve the edges. You can remove these also, and you dissolve that edge. So you can like do so for all these ones here too. So I'll just yeah. So the topology of the coin is kind of looking better compared to when it had all those vertices going on. All right. So next thing I want to do is I'm going to bring back the EWA that I put, sorry, the EWA I put on it. Okay. So from here we are actually ready to bake this. Oh, okay, we are not exactly ready to bake. We still have to like UV unwrap. So UV unwrap is actually like um creating a kind of flat kind of image for the 3D texture. So what I mean is we have all these what's it called? We have all these face and vertices, but we need to make everything flat so it fits into this section. So fitting it into this section is actually like UV unwrapping this model as a 3D mesh. Now what that does is it actually allows you to take the color information, which is the materials you've added to this text to this mesh, and actually put it in a box like this, which is later usable as a texture. Like you can reuse it as a texture inside of Blender 3D. Because if we don't use it as a texture, we'll just be exporting materials, and sometimes it gives confliction when you're working with them 3D in AR. So I'll just select all. And Blender actually has inbuilt functionality of unwrapping, so you just use U on your keyboard and you just click to smart UV unwrap and just unwrap. So this is it. It is unwrapped already. So you can actually edit this information you are seeing here. You can just make some of the text bigger so that the textures are big when when you export the texture out from Blender. So I will just move some of this, just to make some of this text bigger. All right. So I'll just move this. Sorry. Um, select this. Control L. Okay. All right. So I just want to like place them inside this space because this is actually like somewhere it can actually stay. Because we need to use the space as much as possible. And I'll just click on this. Then I'll just make the text bigger, just like so. Like that's basically like using this, stuff on the UV map. So I think this is actually okay. So the UV map exactly is not totally important when you are doing stuff like this, but it's just okay because you want to bake the texture and you want it to look good when you bake it. So from here, I want to actually bake the texture of this coin to an image texture. So let's check back the rendered view. Okay, so this is what we have. We have EWA looking like this. So I'll just go to shader editor and sorry, here first. Wow. Okay, so yeah, so we've created a new image actually that we can bake the texture to. Um, so we just need to bring in that image we just created. We need to bring it in here. So I'm just going to add a texture image node. So this is actually like the shader editor where you can edit texture for whatever you're creating. So I'll just create an image texture. Then I'll select the texture I just created, and this is where I'm going to be baking all the textures to. So I just want to like copy this and paste it over here, and so now we can bake our texture. All right, so I just want to split this screen one more time, and so we'll see what the baking looks like. So let me just come here and click on bake. Just select the diffuse and just bake. So we have our textures baked on this image. So if you notice, the way it's baked is actually following the way I unwrapped the mesh onto this section. I don't know if you noticed that, but that's how it's baked on it. So with this information, we can actually like save this image and bring it back to use as a texture. So let me just save it in downloads and just save this. Okay, so the reason why we actually bake in 3D is because if you are creating materials with a lot of I'm sorry, if you are creating a model with a lot of materials, you can have materials that goes up to like 100 in this section. So texture baking is just like a way to make everything fit into one image, and it is just that image you use throughout your whole maybe production process. So instead of using two materials like we have material 3 and 4, I can just remove this and this, so we don't have any material anymore. So if I should try viewing this in the rendered mode, it is all white. But now I just create one material, then I go to look for the texture we just created, which is this one. So what I can do is just drag it in here. So we have this here. So if we should connect this node to this, we have our EWA texture. Okay, the color is not exactly looking blue because we use a metallic um texture before, but if I should increase this, you can see the blue is coming back and it's looking like what we had before. So you can just reduce this to actually like control how much it looks like a metal or whatever, but this is actually how the coin is currently looking. Also, you can actually go further by adding roughness to the body, but I won't be doing that because it's not totally important. So this is what it looks like. So from here, you can actually export this as a GLB file, which is usable in AR. So to export, you just have to come. Let me go to object mode. Sorry, not rendered. You just have to click on file, export as GLB. Then you want to use some preset actually, and you just want to click on export actually. So you should export as a GLB file. So if I should, go to my downloads, you have this here. You have it exported as a GLB file. So this is what we just created. So if we should create a new file and we import it into like another Blender file, and we just drag and drop the GLB file and press OK, you have it here as a 3D object. So if you click on the rendered view, you can see the EWA as a coin and a 3D object. So we don't have to like go through all the process again because it's already a 3D object. So we can now preview it in a GLB view. So let me just go to this. Okay, so this we can preview how it looks in the GLB viewer. So I'll just drag this in here. and this is what it looks like. So if we are to take this into like an AR file or an AR environment, this is exactly what it's going to look like. So that is like one way to actually like create, a 3D object for an AR environment. The process is very long, and I know most of you like follow to an extent, and maybe got lost at some point. But the point is, if you want to like pick this up as a career, you have like a lot of videos on YouTube that can guide you in the path. Do you understand? So we need to check actually if there are errors to watch out for. So we just go to model details, and there are no error. Lucky enough, I be luckily for us, there are no error. So this is one way to actually create this. So the second way is actually like using the AI that we talked about. Okay, so first off, we just go to Copilot. Okay, so let me just do this. So I'm just going to ask it. So we just see how that works out. So who wants to try to give us like a prompt to use, to create the coin? Anybody? Just raise up your hand and you can just, call the prompt and we'll work with it. Anybody, please? Nobody. Okay. All right. So we have something that actually looks similar to what we created, but this is the coin that AI generated. So we can just further the prompt by saying make the coin blue and EWA white. Yeah. Okay. So let's see where this goes. All right, so it looks really similar to what we created. So I'm just going to download this image from AI and I'm going to convert it to 3D in some, let's say some seconds with Tripo AI. All right, so I'm just going to download this. I'm guessing it has downloaded. All right, so this is it here. So next, I want to go to Tripo AI. That's like my favorite AI tool for creating 3D images. So there are like a lot of AI tool out there that you can use, but Tripo is just one of them. Okay, so just create this and prefer to use the light version. All right, so we just want to get the image we are trying to create. Just bring it here and just click generate. So it does this thing, and hopefully we have an image that looks like what we want. Okay, so we can actually see that it actually generated it similar to the image we generated from AI. So this is a simpler workflow, and I guess you were able to follow this one like easily compared to the other one. All right. So now the point is not exactly to encourage you to be using AI to generate everything, but the point is you need to understand how to create it before you can even use AI. Because if you generate using AI now, when you're trying to export it as like a file, it's most likely it's going to come out as a very heavy file because AI is going to give you something that is very detailed. It won't give you something that is that is optimized. Do you get? All right. So let's just wait and see the texture it gives us. Okay, that's taking forever. Yeah. Look at it actually messed up the W, but I mean it is fair. Okay, so if we click to view, we can view it in the viewports, then we download as a 3D model. All right, so this can you see like just from AI concept and just an AI image, we're able to like come up with this. So I can go ahead and download it and import it into Blender, or I could just tell it to retopologize and you know just get it as like maybe a lower 3D file, so it's not too heavy. So if I should click on download, it's going to download it, and I'll be able to import it into Blender. But this is like one way to ease your workflow if you ever decide like to be a 3D designer, or maybe somebody that is into the AR industry maybe later. And then for the people that joined us later, well, welcome to this session. We're actually trying to create 3D assets for an AR environment. So I'm sorry you came in late. We've actually like moved on like very far. So but you still like met up with us creating this in AI, so which is like still good. So the download process kind of takes a while. So um, maybe we just wait a little for it. So this was what AI generated, and this was what we created from scratch. So I feel like you can see the difference. Like you cannot totally depend on AI to do everything for you, but I mean, if you were like looking to do like a rush or a fast work, I mean, it has done that for you, and you can work with something like this. But majorly, what I use AI for is like very complex 3D models, not simple ones like this. Do you get? So, um, so I hope you like actually see how to create stuff like this. So at the end of the day, yeah, from just basically the idea of okay, what we are trying to create, and executing it in Blender and actually making it look like something that is usable is what we've done. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to render this out as an image. So rendering it as an image is actually like making it look a little bit of cinematic. So from there we can get reference of what cinematic coins like look like. Something like let's see, okay, like a 3D coin. So if you look at this 50, it kind of looks very interesting, and it looks very very like nice. I like how it looks. So you can actually use this as an idea when rendering out your 3D coin. So let's just borrow this as an idea. So we just want to go back to Blender. So to render out of Blender, you need a camera because it is a 3D world, and you don't just export as an image just like Photoshop. So this is the camera right here. Actually, we have the camera here, but when you start Blender new, you won't see all this here. I have this here set up because it just makes my work process faster. I don't have to like keep setting this up, but this is like my basic scene. So if I should go to camera view, you can see I have like a stage already that the camera is focusing on. So if I go to the rendered mode, I can see EWA in the camera view. So what I can do from here is just make this bigger, and adjust the size in the camera view. Then since the image we are using as a reference is actually having a dark background, we just want to like make the background here maybe a little bit dark, not totally dark, because the sorry about that. So because the coin itself is like really dark, so we just want to make the background a little bit dark, just something like this. So if you notice, there is already like the background lights. So now we can just rotate this coin like so, like something like this. All right, so let me just go to the camera view and return this up something like this. Okay, so if you are a creator, or you are a digital creator, somebody that is in front of camera, you kind of have to create your lighting in a way that it looks appealing, and it looks cinematic like most of the time. So there is like a lot of things you can do to make your lighting look better, but the one I like to do the most is having like a major light shining on my scene, then like a rim light behind, and two supporting lights by the side, which are colored lights. So I just feel like it kind of automatically makes your scene look like times three better if you have just one light source. So the major light source, I'm just going to use an object to create that, something like this. So I move it up outside the camera view so it doesn't disturb the view. Then I just want to add like a light material to this animation shader and maybe make it like 5. So that's our major light source. Now I have this supporting light by the side here, which is this. So if I go to the rendered view, you can see something like a blue light effect by the side. So by this other side, I have another supporting light that I'm going to make color red. Not maybe not totally red, but if I go to the camera view, you can see it shining here. Then I want to have a rim light that's like behind the coin. sorry, this so the rim light is basically like, just like you have um your light behind, just behind yourself or something like that. That's like your rim light. So you can actually like blend. You can move it around your scene just to see what fits perfectly. I think I would like to have it somewhere here. Then lastly, click on render. So your image should render as an image. Okay, so it is done rendering. Like we have an image now of our coin. So I can just select image and save as, and save it to anywhere I want to save it. I'll just save it to downloads. And if I go back to my downloads and I double click, I've rendered the 3D object as an image. So you can use this like a profile picture or maybe a display picture, anything you want. It's up to you. And okay, so that's like it when you're trying to create, a 3D asset and exporting for AR. So I think we've covered like everything, like the whole process of creating it from the basic concept and also making it look like what you want it to look in the AR world. If you go to a website like sketchfab.com, you can see a lot of 3D models you can download and take into Blender. So all you have to do is just check for like maybe a coin. Then when you check for a coin, these are like a lot of coins that people have created, like other 3D artists has created in time before. You can just see, you can use this as an idea actually of what you want to create. That's basically how you create a 3D asset for AR. The key takeaways actually that I think you should take away from this: design for emotion and not just for function. So if you remember when I was creating the coin and I was trying to do the what's it called, the render of the coin, I tried to make sure it looks good so that whosoever is seeing it from afar, also if whoever is seeing it from maybe wherever you're displaying it from, they can resonate with it that okay, this thing looks good and it's something they want to like interact with. Optimize for performance. That's actually just making whatever you're creating so light so that it doesn't affect your AR world. Use tools as imagination extenders. We saw we used the AI tool to actually like create the 3D image of the coin, and also we used it to create the 3D model also. Start small and iterate broadly. So if you ever consider this as a career path or maybe you want to get into the 3D industry, I feel like a very big thing you can do for yourself is like practice a lot of time, and you'll get good within no time actually. So that's it for this session, and thank you very much.